So if you're feeling uncertain, it's because of incomplete disclosure in your perceptions and awareness of what's happening. And if you ask the questions that make you aware of the side that you're not seeing, you liberate yourself. As you go through life, there's going to be moments where you feel clear and focused and certain, and other moments when you maybe not, maybe uncertain. Today, I'd like to talk about a topic that I think will be pertinent to our daily life, and this is how to adapt, thrive, and even embrace the uncertainty phases of our life. So if you have something to write with and write on, I'm sure that the information will make you think, for sure. If I came to you and I said, you're always nice, never mean, always kind, never cruel, always giving, never taking, always generous, never stingy, always positive, never negative, always peaceful, never wrathful, always considerate, never inconsiderate, would you believe me? You would go, I don't think so. And your internal psychostat, intuition, would be whispering and thinking of the times when the opposite was true in your life. If I came to you and I said, well, you're always mean, you're never nice, you're always cruel, you're never kind, you're always negative, never positive, always wrathful, never peaceful, always taking, never giving, always stingy, never generous, always inconsiderate, never considerate, you would immediately go again, I don't think so. And your intuition and psychostat would reverse and make you think of the opposite of what I said. But if I came to you and I said, sometimes you're nice, sometimes you're mean, sometimes you're kind, sometimes you're cruel, sometimes you're positive, sometimes you're negative, sometimes you're giving, sometimes you're taking, you would immediately go, yep, that's true. I'm certain about that. And the reason you're certain about that is because you're embracing both sides of yourself. Whenever we have a fraction or an unconscious and conscious split in our mind, we have uncertainty. If we're infatuated with somebody and we're conscious of the upsides and unconscious of the downsides, we have uncertainty about our relationship with them. We are infatuated with them, but we're blind to the downsides and we're leaving information off the table. When we're resentful to somebody, we're conscious of the downsides, unconscious of the upsides. We've split our full consciousness into conscious, unconscious halves, and again, uncertain. We're uncertain about how we're going to respond, about avoiding this individual. But if we see both sides of that individual simultaneously, we have certainty that we appreciate and love them. So the first idea that I want to share about certainty is it comes when you're fully disclosing in your awareness and not biasing your interpretation of your reality. Whenever you are skewed, you're automatically functioning from the amygdala area of the brain, an extension of the limbic brain. And what it's basically doing is it's subjectively biasing your interpretation in order to capture prey or to avoid predator. It biases things with false positives and false negative interpretations. And as a result of it, we're not seeing the whole, we're seeing part of it because we need the adrenaline to capture the prey or to avoid the predator or to seek or avoid our infatuation and resentments. So as a result of it, we have this uncertainty. Our amygdala, our subcortical area of our brain, doesn't have certainty. It has uncertainties, and so it has reactions and survival mechanisms to protect ourselves. But the second we're back up in the executive center, the forebrain, and we're balanced and we have an objective and we see both sides simultaneously, as Wilhelm once said, we now have certainty. So certainty comes when we're able to see simultaneously both sides of an event or a goal, or an individual, or ourselves. When we have this idea that we're one-sided, we have uncertainty about our nature. But when we are embracing both sides, our hero and villain, our saint and sinner, our positive and negative aspects of our life, we can have certainty. I am certain I have both sides, but I can't be certain that tomorrow I'm going to only show you one side. I can't be certain I'm only going to show you the other side, but I can be certain that I'm going to show you both sides over time. So certainty comes from seeing full disclosure, both sides of an event at the same time. So whenever you're having uncertainties in your life, you're automatically skewed in your perspective. And whatever you're perceiving, the quality of your life is based on the quality of the questions you ask. If you ask questions to see the other side and balance the equation, you can return your uncertainties back to certainties. All of your phobias, your anxieties and fears and phobias, are a result of an assumption that you're about to experience in the future through your senses or imagination, more negatives than positives. All of your philias and fantasies are an assumption that you're going to experience in the future through your senses or imagination, more positives and negatives. If you are intuitively minded and your intuition is trying to reveal to you the side you're ignoring and see both sides to calm down the phobias and philias. But the second you are able to see both sides simultaneously, the phobias and the philias, where the uncertainties are, the emotional reactions are dissolved. So when you're infatuated with somebody, it's wise to ask the questions, what are the downsides, and bring it into balance. The moment you have balance, you have certainty that you appreciate this individual for both sides. The second you're resentful to somebody or frightened of somebody, if you ask what are the upsides and balance it out, you neutralize it, you take uncertainty, now make it certain again. The uncertainties make you go into survival. The certainties make you go into thrival. When you're doing that, you stabilize your system. Now, why do you have more resilience when you do that? Well, when you're infatuated with somebody, you fear their loss. When you're resentful to somebody, you fear their gain. When you love somebody and see both sides simultaneously, you don't have a fear of loss or gain. You're now present and you're certain and you have the most resilience and the least amount of, you might say, anxiety. Anxieties are basically are fears based on an assumption of a one-sided outcome. In our life, a lot of the situations we are frightened about don't turn out to be true anyway. They actually don't happen. But we have this anxiety. And we can't have fear of the unknown. We have fear of the content in our mind that's imbalanced. And therefore, we have trepidation and uncertainties about the future. The second we balance the equation by asking quality questions, we liberate ourselves. The quality of our life is based on the quality of the questions we ask. If we ask questions that allow us to see both sides of an event, both sides at the same time, we're no longer in this adapting state where we're in fright. We're now ready to be present. The second we are infatuated or resentful, those things occupy space and time in our mind and leave us in this turmoil. It's hard to sleep at night. We're sitting with anxieties and fears and anxieties and phobias and philias when we're sitting there. But the moment we bring ourselves back into balance, we return to restful sleep. We return to certainty. We have resilience. We have adaptability. The stress is the inability to adapt to a changing environment. And there's two primary forms of stress: the fear of loss of that which we seek and the fear of gain of that which we try to avoid. The things we're philic or phobic about, or attracted or repelled by. Anytime we're emotionally attractive or repulsive with impulses or instincts, we're automatically in uncertainty. I think it was even the Heisenberg, the German quantum physicist, that said that the uncertainty principle was based on what he called fermions, which is based on the principle of matter that's basically polarized and charged. So the second we're emotionally charged and things matter to us, we're automatically in the uncertainty principle, and we basically don't know what's going to happen in the future. But if we go in there and balance our equation, we go into boson statistics, and we don't have uncertainty, we have presence and knowing. So I'm a firm believer in asking quality questions that bring balance to the mind, which is one of the things I do in the breakthrough experience. And every weekend when I teach the breakthrough experience, I teach people the Demartini method, which is a series of questions that take uncertainties and make you certain. I can take somebody about the uncertainties about how they're going to react and the emotions associated with them, and I can show them how to sort through them, balance the equation, bring yourself into a mathematical wholeness, and automatically have certainty about your outcome and where you're going, and not be anxious about what's about to happen, because you're not fret and fraught with this anxiety about what's going to happen because you see both sides. When we are not seeing both sides, that's when we have the uncertainties and have all the emotions of attractions and repulsions. So the quality of your life is based on the quality of the questions you ask, and quality questions are one that equilibrate the mind and bring balance to awareness so you're fully conscious instead of consciously, unconsciously divided. So I'm a firm believer that if you take the time to go and ask those questions, your life changes. We accumulate a lot of anxieties and phobias and fears, and we have a lot of uncertainties, and a lot of the problems in our life are because we're not taking the time to see both sides. We're letting the external world and the moral hypocrisies we've been taught from mothers, fathers, preachers, teachers, and conventions and traditions about what's good and bad out there, and not allowing ourselves to see beyond that and have a meta-ethical position where we see both sides of an event where it's neither good nor evil. It's just an event. And we now use the event to our greatest potential. That's being resourceful. That's being resilient. That's being adaptable to a changing environment. That's being prepared no matter what happens in our life. We see things on the way, and not in the way. We're now masters of destiny, not victims of history. So if you're feeling uncertain, it's because of incomplete disclosure in your perceptions and awareness of what's happening. And if you ask the questions that make you aware of the side that you're not seeing, you liberate yourself. So if you're resentful, if you ask the upsides, if you're infatuated, you ask the downsides until you see both sides, and then you're present, love the individual. I've demonstrated that in the breakthrough experience. I've had people that are highly resentful or highly infatuated, neutralized it out, felt love, did not have the fear of losing the person or the fear of gaining the person, was just present with the individual, and they had feelings of love and they were certain about it. I teach people how to have certainty in the breakthrough experience, and I show them exactly how to do it. And it's a science. It's reproducible. It's duplicatable. It's demonstratable. It's translatable. It doesn't matter what language you come from. It doesn't matter what your religious belief systems are. I can take anybody from uncertainty to certainty by asking the right questions and helping you fully disclose your awareness and your perceptions, both sides of an event. You're not nice, you're not mean, you're a human being with both. When things in your perception support your values, you can be nice. When things challenge your values, you can be mean. But we're going to have support and challenge all the way through our life constantly. So we're going to end up with both. The net return is that we're a human being with both sides. That I'm certain about. I'm not certain that I can stay one-sided. In fact, the pursuit of one-sidedness is futile. That's like trying to be up all the time without having down. We have a homeostatic mechanism to make sure that we get both sides in life. A homeostatic mechanism to make sure we both have, even in our licensing effect and our psychology, if we go into pride and puff ourselves up and see only the positives, we give ourselves permission to do something we're ashamed of to bring it back and down into homeostasis. And if we do something we're ashamed of, we automatically go and do something that makes us feel proud to compensate for it. And this is where narcissism and altruistic mechanisms are automatically brought back into balance. So we have a homeostatic mechanism to bring us back into authenticity and balance and allows us to have more certainty. The second we give ourselves permission to be ourselves and live by our highest values and live more objectively and wake up our executive center and see both sides simultaneously, we have the most certainty. And whoever has the most certainty rules the game. They're the leaders. They're the authentic individuals that magnetize opportunity to their life. That's why in the breakthrough experience, I teach the Demartini method, which is a series of questions that take uncertainties to certainties, to take inauthenticities to authenticities, and to take the wobbling and variable instabilities of the emotions and the amygdala, which is our animal nature, and brings it into our more human and angelic nature, which is inspired and certain and grateful and present and purposeful and enthused about life. So you don't have to have the uncertainties run your life. You can ask questions that liberate yourself from that. And that's why I want people to come to the breakthrough experience, so I can show them the questions, make them go through the questions, experience the impact of the questions, return to certainty, and realize that they can empower their life that way. We're uncertain, we have disempowerment. When we're certain, we got our power back. So if you'd love to empower your life again, have more certainty, have more resilience, more adaptability, and embrace those uncertainties with finesse. Because no matter what it is, it's letting you know you have an incomplete awareness, and it's initiating the questions to ask. If you'd like to do that, come to the breakthrough experience and let me show you personally how to transform that. There's no reason why you have to have the uncertainties unnecessarily when you can ask the quality questions and change your life. So this is my presentation on uncertainty this week, and I look forward to seeing you next week. But definitely join me at the breakthrough experience so I can help you transform your uncertainties into certainties and your victims of histories into masters of destinies.